Okay, did you know one time me and a couple of people put a log in the road? It was for the year I was living in townhouses, 98, 99, and we just saw this like skinny log, and we just took it out and just put it across the road in front of the townhouses. Like it was a 2-lane road. I mean, pretty busy a lot of the time. We were just sitting there watching cars like go over it and stop and go over it slow or whatever, just sitting there enjoying it. And then all of a sudden, this cop just came up on it. And so, um, it's like, holy shit, the cops. And like he slowed up and saw it and just saw us sitting there watching. And we just took off running into the laundry room of the townhouses. So then we would have been a lot smarter to like just run behind the townhouses and go in through the back door into one of them or something, and then he would have had no idea which one we went into. And but yeah, he came looking in the laundry room for us, and we were like hiding behind dryers and shit like that. And so he got us to come out, and I'm like, God, we're screwed. And he's like, what's with this log in the road? And I told him, I said, yeah, I said, we just got out of here and it was out there. So, said, sorry we didn't move it. We should have moved it, but we were just like kind of watching people go over it. He said, do you know who put it in the road? I said, no, I said, I really don't. I said, but, one of those townhouses over there's having a party. So I said, so it could have been somebody from there. He was like, all right. He said, all right, well, he said, get it out of the road. And that was it. I really almost ruined those people's party, I guess, but I mean, yeah, it was worth it. I mean, they could have really made a big deal out of it. Let's see. The first tennis trip at 10th grade was just unbelievable. Like, I mean, we were just nuts on this trip. Like the guys and the girls team were on the bus, and I think we played Pokemoke, but like that ride back, we just acted up so much. I mean, like we were throwing spitballs and shooting spitballs and all kinds of shit, and maybe even like throwing drinks and stuff, and just doing all kinds of fucking shit. Just like all kinds of like pranking and throwing drinks and spitball fighting, and um then I remember like when we ate at this Burger King, and I filled up two could have been, maybe we ate at Wendy's or something, because I know I filled up two of those little canisters of ketchup. And then the bus, like on each side of the front, it just had like these little metal rods that only went up about that far. They were maybe that big around. So I just took two things of ketchup and just put them one on each one. And then I think we got to the Burger King in Only, which is like a half hour from Northampton High School, maybe to use the bathroom or something like that. And when we got there, like it had blown back, and it was just like kind of layered on the front of the bus. Bill in the moped. There was this retarded guy in my neighborhood named Bill Wennington, and like he yeah, I didn't know he was retarded. It was one time when I was really little, and like I just didn't really know about the guy. And like I was riding my bike, and this guy rode his moped like all the time. And all of a sudden he just came like whizzing by me and like ran me off the road into the ditch, and like I fell off my bike and shit. And then I got up and just yelled, "Use your brain!" And then I went home and I went to my grandparents, and I told my grandma about what had just happened. She was like, "That's Bill Wennington. He's retarded. He can't use his brain." I mean, she thought it was funny though. And then one time I saw the same guy just like at his house just kind of cussing out his moped. He was like, "Why is it always you that gives me problems?" I remember one time, that one. Okay, one time, you know how like our house, the beach house got destroyed in that hurricane, and like so basically part of it was on land, part of it was just like held up by like bulkheads like on the deck and stuff like that. And there was the old part, and then there was the new part. Like my grandfather had this addition built onto it, like after he bought it for $150, and so a little part of it was new, the rest of it was the old part. And basically during that hurricane, the new part fell into the ocean, and then it was deemed like was deemed like unlivable or hazardous or whatever. And like I think like the county even wanted my grandfather to tear it down, but he didn't. But the part that was left over, so my stepdad just decided to like start, fixing it up a little bit and doing some stuff to it. And he just was talking about it one day. He's like, "Yeah, I've been doing this, doing that." He said, "I'm trying to make a place the whole family can enjoy. No pot, but it'll be a place where you could just come and relax and just have a good time or whatever." And when he said that, like, I really thought about saying, like, I thought you said it was going to be a place the whole family can enjoy. No pot. Let's see. Did I ever tell you about the Vietnam flashback? One time, the last tennis trip at 10th grade when we went to regionals, um, like we'd been really acting up on these tennis trips all year long. And, and this was the last one, and we just lost in regionals. And I was pissed, like I wasn't even really up for any acting up because I was actually mad that we'd lost. Um, and so, but then other people were like throwing drinks out the window and having them blow back on people and stuff like that, and just like raising some hell. And he just had it with it, like for the whole season, because the whole season we just been so awful. And then like he just all of a sudden like I was like, "Mr. Eames, tell these people to stop this shit," and and after a while he just wasn't saying anything. And then like all of a sudden he just pulled the bus over and just like got out of his seat and like he was really quiet, but you could tell he was just pissed. And he just goes, "All right, enough of this shit. Now I'm sick and tired of this immature bullshit. God damn, Jesus Christ, grow up. I mean, all year I've had to put up with a bunch of immature bastards." He was like, "Everybody get up here." And like this one guy, Edgar, this Mexican exchange student, was asleep. He woke up, he's like, "What's going on?" And Mr. Eaves is like, "Edgar, get your ass up here." And then like we like all of us had to sit in like the first four rows, and he was like just going off on us, and he made us sit in the first four rows the whole rest of the way home. And one guy was like, "Man, if somebody passes us and sees this, they're gonna think we're gay." And he was saying like, "All of y'all can expect at least 2 weeks detention, maybe even more, especially you, Willie." And then he said like, and I think this guy named Marion, I think he told him he could be in some serious trouble too. And he said something to Edgar. He was like, "Edgar, you need to learn how to listen. Listen, you might think you're big shit in Mexico, but you're nothing here." And like, yeah, then he told me that I could maybe even expect a few days suspended even, because I just acted like an immature jerk all year or something. And then then this one guy said at one point, he said, "Well, if I get in trouble for this, I'm gonna tell them about, I'm gonna tell them about you going off like this. And he didn't say anything, but I think it kind of registered because nothing happened from it, except he was like, "Next year we're taking station wagons every time. we're not. He's like, we will not take a bus anywhere." And that held. Like, the next year it really was just all station wagons. Then there was a time where, one time when we were at the Moose, hey baby, um, it was like in ninth grade, a bunch of us were playing tennis like after school some days at this Moose Club. And, so, So anyway, there were only two courts there, and like it was a bunch of us that came out to play that day, and this one guy was he was just on the other court all by himself, and like he had his daughter, like this young girl, just kind of like throwing balls to him, and he was hitting them, and then like and he'd really been out there for a while, and I was ready for him to go so we could use both courts, and like he had this big bag of balls, and then finally he that was over and everything. And then he, got up all the balls and it was like, all right, he's going to leave. And then he just goes up and just starts serving. And I just went, oh God, another 2 hours or something. And he heard me, and he just really went off. Like he was like, he was like, let me tell you something. I have a right to this court. And he was like, let me ask you, are you a member? Do you pay your dues here? I said, yeah. And he was like, no, you don't. Your mommy and daddy pay them. I should have just challenged him to a match. I mean, I would have easily won. Oh yeah, but then like, I told my parents and they were just pretty much like, so what? Who gives a shit? And but then like my friend Scott Kilman, his parents, like when like one of them, his stepdad was even like on like the board at the Moose or something, and they really thought it was an issue, and like the guy was like brought before the board and stuff like that, and I think he might have even got suspended from the courts for a little while, but he at least like he was reprimanded for it. But what my friend Robbie said on there, like he said, Bill Sturgis had the time to be out there playing tennis only because he was receiving disability checks from our government. And, I don't give a shit about that. But, it sounds to me like he wasn't really pulling his own weight when it came to paying dues either. I mean, Uncle Sam was paying his dues. My parents were paying my dues. And I don't see why he needed to be on disability if he could go out there and play tennis. But, I don't care.